What was money like in your family?
I grew up with really young parents. I saw two people who I looked up to working their ass off. So I think that's where I get a lot of like my ambition, my hustle.
What are all of the different ways that you are making money?
Going outside of music. So like starting businesses I would have got a brand deal for, but now I'm trying to create like my own brand.
Other investments in your life? Talk to me.
I'm interested in real estate.
You are?
I'd like to create luxury, affordable homes for college students.
Over the course of your lifetime, what do you think is like the biggest money mistake you've made?
Shopping too much.
Really? It's just the shopping?
It was like therapy for me. It was a toxic way of me nurturing my unhealed feelings about something. I think this has been one of the most difficult conversations for me.
Really?
I really enjoyed it, but when you've made so much money and you haven't had money before, sometimes you're just so happy that you made money, so you don't really plan your money. Now I'm thinking different. So when you were asking me some of these questions, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, you know, I should be thinking about that.
What's up, rich friends? Welcome back to another episode of Networth and Chill with me, your host, Vivian Tu, aka Your Rich BFF. So today we're going to talk about a topic that has been hotly requested. How do you manage your money when your career doesn't necessarily fit into this clean, neat little box of, oh, I get a 401k and I have health benefits? What if you are a creative, a freelancer? You're trying to build something new, something that none of your friends are doing, but you don't necessarily know when that next paycheck is coming in. How do you manage your money in a smart way? How do you use it to build your business? How do you use it to grow and get bigger and bigger and badder and badder? So I have someone very, very exciting to join me today. She is a Grammy-Nominated recording artist and entrepreneur who's mastered the art of managing wealth in the entertainment industry, turning her creative talents into a thriving empire. She's been on shows like SNL, Bel Air, and BMF. She's a fellow Forbes 30 Under 30 girly. Everyone, please welcome Saweetie.
Hey, guys. And I'm a college girly like you.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
College educated, smart, sexy, and talented.
Oh, you think I'm sexy?
You know I do. I told you that when you walked in.
Yeah, you looked good too.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so before we actually get into our conversation, I have a fun little icebreaker. And I'll tell you mine after you share yours.
Okay.
What is the brokest you've ever been?
The brokest oh my gosh, this story makes me laugh every time. So when I was in college, if I didn't like the food that I got at a restaurant, I would file a claim.
No.
Listen. So imagine somebody calling to go file a claim, and then they're asking me how much was this meal. When I'm saying like $16 and $20, they're like, oh, like $200 or like $16.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, $16, $20. So they literally, I could hear them holding in their laugh. And it's just like, girl, you got it. It's only like $16, $20.
Yeah.
But that's how
you would dispute the charge if the food was bad.
I would dispute the charge if the food was bad.
Okay, but like what was like an example of like a bad dish you got?
If I didn't like how it tastes.
You didn't like it.
If I didn't like it. But I'm a foodie, so if I don't like it, and I like a lot of things, you know?
Yeah.
But you could literally hear them holding in their laugh. Like, I can't believe this woman is calling me over $16, $17, $18, $20.
You know what, though?
What?
Like,
I didn't feel like it was money well spent.
Yeah.
So run me my money back.
You might even be able to get that money back, but you know what? You can't get the stomach space back. And that makes me so angry when I eat something and I don't like it.
You're a real foodie. You can't get that stomach space back.
You can't get that stomach space back.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you the brokest I've been. I was an intern over the summer, and I was going for a full-time job. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to save all of this money. And that way, when I get back to senior year of college, I'm going to be a baller. I'm going to be going out. We're going to be at the club.
That's the goals.
I'm going to get drinks at the bar.
Yeah.
So every night, I would have a handful of pistachios for dinner and then just go to sleep. Because when I would get back to the office, I knew that there was food there that I could eat for free.
A smart woman.
So I was
smart and healthy.
I ate a lot of pistachios that summer.
A lot of pistachios.
And you know what? worked out okay. I got that full-time job, and then I went back senior year, and you better believe I was at the club every weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
You know.
But also, I was not spending my own money at the club.
Okay.
Because I was like, let me sit at your table. I shouldn't have to spend on this. I'm a cute girl. Okay, but let's talk a little bit about your childhood. Let's roll the tape back. Tell me about what it was like growing up. What was money like in your family?
I feel like money was a month-to-month thing. I grew up with really young parents. My mom and my dad had me at a really young age. So I experienced them working like 9 to 5 or like graveyard shifts.
Yeah.
So for me, money was something that they worked really hard for. And in hindsight, I didn't like it because I wasn't able to spend a lot of time with my parents. But I think the positive from that was I saw two people who I looked up to working their ass off to, you know, make a living. So I think that's where I get a lot of like my ambition, my hustle, and like how I work. So I mean, there's some pros and cons to that, but it was definitely a month-to-month thing of them trying to figure it out.
What was your earliest money memory? Like, did you get an allowance, or like what happened when you started to realize you needed money to buy stuff you wanted?
My earliest memory was doing bake sales after church.
Oh, okay.
At first, it was bake sales. That didn't really work, though. So then I started selling candy at school. I was like the candy girl. And that's when like AIM was popping. Did you have an AIM?
Yeah. And I had that really, really embarrassing away message. And I was hoping that one boy that I had a crush on would message me.
Right. So on my like away message, I'd be like, hit me if you need some candy. And like, I'll leave like the class. We can go to the bathroom and do a little exchange. But yeah, I was the girl who like sold candy at school.
Yeah. I can relate to that. I was selling chapsticks.
Chapsticks?
Yeah.
How did that sell?
So basically, it was a situation where I was like a really big nerd. Like I loved, you know, beginning of the year, you would get school supplies. I would have like the smelly highlighters that like smelled like fruits and stuff.
Yeah.
And you would have a desk buddy. And I remember my teacher being like, you have to share with your buddy if they don't have a highlighter. And I sat next to this girl who, she would have lost her head if it wasn't screwed on. Like she just, by the third week of school, she had no supplies. And so I'd always lend her.
What grade were you in?
It's like third grade.
I always like, sorry to cut you off, but I always wonder what happened to those kind of kids.
I don't know.
You know?
Yeah.
Like how were they
how
able
did you figure it out?
Yeah, how did you figure it out?
Yeah.
Sorry. My mind just went there.
That's real. That's real.
Mm-hmm.
And I lent her my highlighter all the time, but one day I got sick of doing it. And so I was like, listen, like, show me your school box. What's in your school box? Let's trade. I'll give you a highlighter, and that way you don't have to keep asking me to borrow mine. And she had, like, half of a chewed up eraser, like a pencil that was really small. I could see that. Yeah. Like, and
it was like a miscellaneous box, huh?
Yeah, just like a miscellaneous dirty box. And then she had a used chapstick. And I was like, I am a genius. So I said, I will trade you my fancy highlighter for a used chapstick. And she was, you know, full disclosure, she was like, listen, I've used this chapstick. I was like, no problem. Lend me that paper clip in there.
Oh, and then okay.
I went and chopped off the top of this chapstick, and I went it down. I turned it down a little bit, and then I sold it to another kid in the class for $1, and that got me a cinnamon stick churro at snack time.
I love that for you. Come on, hustle woman.
But then I kept doing it, and like I would get like a bunch of chapstick, and I started selling it, and then they called my parents.
Wait, why did you get in trouble for that?
Because I was like running an underground chapstick ring during school hours, and they were like, this girl can't keep selling chapstick.
Girl, they were acting like it was drugs or something.
Right. I was like, this is chapstick. Everybody needs to be moisturized.
If anything, they should have been inspired.
Look at me now.
Right?
Entrepreneur. So speaking of your parents, ethnically, you are African-American and Filipino-Chinese. Do you feel like any of those cultural backgrounds played into how your parents viewed money? And I ask that because my parents are Chinese and they're very frugal.
Well, both of my families are a part of the working class.
Yeah.
So I've saw like my grandparents, my aunties, my uncles, my older cousins, my mom and my dad. Everyone had that odd job or that 9 to 5 job or that graveyard shift that they did to make ends meet. So I just saw my family working a lot. That's how I remember my childhood.
Yeah.
Like for me, that was like normal. Like there was no like stay-at-home moms, dads, or anything in that matter. So for me, I thought the whole world was just out there working every day.
Yeah. How did that hustle encourage you? Were they like, you have to be XYZ, you have to do XYZ, or did they just want you to be happy?
I think the main thing my mom wanted me to do was just get good grades. So I was always avid with like getting my A's, very proactive like my homework. If I didn't get a good grade on my test, I'd go back, correct my answers to bump my grade up. Yeah, I was very
You nerd.
yeah. I was very serious with my grades. I mean, I don't know if you had a tiger mom, but it's just
Yeah.
like the B's and the C's is not cutting it. They want straight A's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. B's were like, don't even show this to me.
Yeah.
Like, it was bad.
Exactly.
That's so funny. What was your favorite subject?
Math.
Math.
I love math. Yes.
Why?
I don't know. I just love numbers.
Yeah.
And I love like writing numbers with my pencil. I know that sounds really weird, but I really enjoyed like the lead pencil, it clicking, and then me writing out the numbers. It was something that just was very therapeutic to me.
So fast forward, you get these good grades. You are this, little dork in school. You end up getting into USC. Talk to me a little bit about that experience. Like, were you thinking about how am I going to pay for school? Like, how did that go?
Well, I went to San Diego State first.
Oh, San Diego State first.
Yeah,
Okay.
I went to San Diego State, and then I transferred to USC. And because of my grades, I had got my tuition covered.
Oh.
But unfortunately, every year at USC, the tuition would go up. So my how everything was covered capped at a certain amount.
Yeah.
So every day when tuition would go up, I'd have to like make the difference up. So I ended up having to pull out loans. So when I had gotten my record deal, one of the first things that I did was pay off my tuition.
Did you ever think that you were going to be a musician?
Yes. I just knew it. I just knew it from like the bottom of my heart. I was like,
Talk to me about that confidence, because you answered that so fast.
I mean, I think there was just an undeniable connection to my passion and my dream.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like after college, I did apply to get, one of those well-paid 9-to-5 jobs.
Yeah.
But every time, like, I go through the whole interview process, go through the motions, and then every time I would get the job, I would decline it because I'm like, if I put myself back into the cycle, I'm never going to be able to really pursue my dreams. So that's when I would do, like, a whole bunch of, like, odd jobs so that I could, like, pursue my passion in, music.
What was the hardest job to turn down, and how much did it pay?
I had applied to be a medical assistant. Don't ask me what I put on my resume. But I believe it was like $50K a year.
Okay.
And as like a graduate with no income, like that was a lot to me.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So it was around like $55K to be like a medical assistant.
Yeah. Okay. But talk to me. You want to be a musician so bad, but there's a lot of people out there that want to be rappers. They want to be singers. Like, what was this undying belief that you would be able to do it? Because, so many people try and they don't make it to superstardom.
Honestly, the first encounter that I had was at church. So my grandparents are pastors, and every summer they'd have like a prophet come and prophesize. So when I was around like 12 or 13, someone had came to the church and they had prophesied to me that I'd be a musician one day. And they said a lot of great other things, but I'll just keep those to myself. But yeah, in that moment, I was like, what is she talking about? Like, I want to do hair.
Like, because I wanted to do hair.
Yeah, at first I wanted to be a hairstylist. But when, like, my passion for, like, poetry and writing my feelings came about, my mind went back to, like, that moment in church. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe, like, music is where I'm supposed to be in. Like, I just feel like my soul is committed to this,
Yeah.
I couldn't picture myself doing anything else.
Yeah. So you decide you want to be a musician. You're turning down these great job offers.
I'm lying on my resume.
You're lying on your resume. You know what? Listen. All of us embellish a little, just a little fib.
Just a little.
Just a little. But you start out. Obviously, things don't happen immediately. What were those early years like? How was it with money? Like, being a struggling artist.
So when you're in a city that you're not from and you don't really have like the support of like your family or just people who you can rely on financially, it is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So what I did is I gave myself a year. I'm like, okay, you're already a year out of school. Struggling in LA is not fun. So I'm going to give myself another year. And if I don't get discovered, I'm going to go back home. So on the 9th month from that plan that I had set out for myself, I had got discovered. But because I had gave myself a deadline, I was actually working towards something instead of just aimlessly trying to like figure it out. So I really encourage people to have like deadlines for themselves so that they're able to see what they've accomplished and what they haven't accomplished.
That's so smart. Like, were there any moments during that like 9-month period after that first year where you're like, I don't know if this is happening?
Yeah, well, when you're paying for like rent and gas, and at the end of the month, your checkings goes down to like damn near zero, and you're trying to figure out month to month, like that's really stressful. So I was tired of that lifestyle, and that's when I had given myself a deadline.
That's really, really smart. What during that time was the driving force behind your creativity? Like, was it like personal, like breakups or, friends? What was it?
It was breakups. It was friends. It was a lot of aspirational writing because of what I was aspiring to be.
Yeah.
But interestingly, a lot of like those raps that I wrote back then was written during like me driving.
Driving?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. When I'm driving or when I'm working out, that's when I write the best. Like I have to be like multitasking sometimes when I'm listening to a beat. Yeah. And I feel like that's where my best inspiration comes from. It just like pulls something else out of me.
What kind of car were you driving at the time?
I was driving a Toyota Corolla Sport.
Ooh.
Model. Yes.
What color?
It was dark gray, like a shark gray.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
That little thing used to get me everywhere.
Yeah. Did you feel like during that time there was anything that you did that you're like, man, I wish I had managed my money differently?
I mean, there was no money to manage. Honestly, like, it gets to the point where I knew that I had to be really intentional with my driving. Because, gas is really expensive, especially during the summertime in LA. So it's like sometimes I get invited out, and if I didn't have a ride, I wouldn't go, even though I had a car, because it's just like I have to be very intentional with where, like, I'm spending, like, my gas money. So moments like that make me really appreciative to where I'm at today, because now I don't worry about, that gas money and where I'm going. I can just go.
Yeah. When you were budgeting back then, was there anything that you wish you could have afforded?
Probably better meals.
You really are a foodie.
Yeah.
Is that what you think you spend the most of your money on now?
Yeah. Yeah. But so you know how you had pistachios?
Yeah.
My go-to was peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Okay.
With milk and ice in it.
Milk? Wait, ice in the milk?
Yeah, ice in the milk. It's such a delicacy. But it was either that or it was ground turkey and rice.
Okay, yeah, ground turkey and rice actually sounds delicious.
With some ketchup, yeah.
Okay, wait, no, you just lost me.
What?
With ketchup?
Yeah, with ketchup on the side. Ground turkey, rice, put some ketchup.
Girl, aren't you Filipino? Couldn't we have at least made that into like some sort of ground turkey adobo? We had to put ketchup in it?
And adobo got too many ingredients.
Okay.
I'm trying to get home, put some ground turkey, put a little salt, pepper. I'm hungry.
Yeah. Okay. We have the ketchup turkey and rice, and then the PB&J.
The PB&J.
Okay.
Yeah.
Easy enough, I guess. So talk to me about the kind of like that come up period. 9 months in, you're discovered. Mm-hmm. What happens?
Well, I'm finally able to get an apartment because I was renting rooms off of Craigslist.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's familiar with that, the reason why a lot of people do that is because you don't have to, pay first and last month's rent.
And a security deposit.
Yeah. It's just like it's too much going on when you get an apartment on your own. So I was renting rooms off of Craigslist because I couldn't afford to do that. So after I got like my big lump sum, I finally got my own apartment with a roommate. She was great. And I got a car. I got a new car.
What kind?
I got a G-Wagon.
Oh, okay.
I love cars and I love food. Like those are like my two things.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I did.
When that, first big lump sum came in, and obviously before that, when you were negotiating that contract, was there anyone that you were going to for money advice of like, hey, is this a good contract or should
My contract was horrible. It was. I mean,
talk to me about that.
I feel like one thing that artists have to be careful of, especially, starving and broke artists, is like sometimes negotiating for a longer amount of period and really understanding what you're getting yourself into pays off in the long run. But honestly, I was just so happy to have all that money in my face. I'm like, okay, I need this. Let's go.
When it came to future negotiations, did you have a money mentor that you were speaking with, maybe other artists, maybe management, agents, whatever, to help you?
Well, right now I have a really great business team and I have really good lawyers. They kind of like walk me through the process.
Mm-hmm. Once you got that lump sum, did you immediately want to spend all that money, or were you thinking about the future for retirement? How are you setting that aside?
You know what's really funny about that? So I was really frugal with my money in the beginning.
Yeah.
And there was like a really long period of time where I was just like working my ass off.
Yeah.
And for some reason I had called to ask like my accountant how much money I had made. I had so much money and I was like, where the hell I get all this money from?
Yeah.
But it's because like I wasn't like splurging on everything. But unfortunately after that I started splurging.
No. You should have never made that call.
Right? I should have never made that call. But because I was like living below my means.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really like paying attention with how much money I was making.
You were just grinding.
I was just grinding. And then after that, it was like a shark that smelled some blood. I was like, damn, I got this much money. We finna go crazy. And it was probably one of like the worst mistakes I made.
Wait, talk to me. So like, what were some of the things that you were buying?
Clothes. I was paying for, you know, if someone like close to me needed some money, I'd give them a lump sum. Like I was very generous with my money.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I don't recommend that because when you give a large lump sum to people, they expect it to be that easy every time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had to start creating boundaries because some people thought that like money was just growing off the trees, and it's just like, no, I'm working my ass off for this.
What, do you mind me asking, was it family or friends?
Primarily, you know, people that's close to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How did you set those boundaries? Was it just like, hey, I'm not doing this anymore? Or?
It's a delicate conversation, but it's just kind of like, hey, I did this, and unfortunately, going forward, you know, we have to figure out a better or more healthy system because because it's not like I'm giving them a couple hundred, I'm giving like a lump sum. You know, like I'm thinking like this gonna last you for a minute. Yeah. And sometimes it's not lasting them for a minute and they're coming back like quicker. So I think it's just about like creating healthy boundaries. But that was my fault, you know. Mm-hmm. I was excited, and when I get excited, I like to be generous. So I had to check myself.
Yeah. I also get the vibe that you're very much like a loyal person. I got the same 5 friends with me. Mm-hmm. Did it ever get weird? Because all of a sudden you started to make a lot more money. Like, you know, you told me, we talked about this when you walked in, you watched my video about how I had a really annoying friend who would order crab legs at dinner when the rest of us got a salad in college and we couldn't afford it. But like, was there ever a weird moment with you and your older friends, like when you guys wanted to go out together or do stuff together?
Honestly, no, because I don't like, and this is where I had to like even check myself. It's just like, because I felt like I had made so much money, like I wouldn't mind taking care of the bill. It wasn't weird for me.
Okay.
But I did have to like pull back from going out because I noticed that sometimes I'm the only one paying for things.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a matter of things getting weird. I think I had to just open that door too quickly. Yeah. You know? But like I said, like when you never have money and when you finally get money and you're around people that you love, you just want to start taking care of people.
Yeah, I think that's completely normal. Mm-hmm. Completely normal. I know so many people who are in that exact same position. Yeah. And I mean, when I first started making money, the first people I wanted to treat were my parents.
Yeah, that's who. Mm-hmm.
Now when I take my girlfriends out, I pay for dinner.
Yeah.
But only the good ones.
Yeah.
Not the girls who I know. I'm like, oh, so I'm paying. You're getting the tomahawk steak and the crab legs.
That's crazy to me. Fortunately, my friends are very mindful.
Yeah,
like
they're respectful.
Yeah, so when we are going out, they're very mindful of what they get. Nobody overdoes it. I've been blessed to have like a really good, you know, circle when we step out. Like no one has ever went crazy. But you know what? There have been, hold on. But there have been instances where I've been around a group of people, and it's so funny how people offer to do things with your money.
Wait, give me the example.
You know what? I don't even know. You know where that's that saying where I don't know what the exact thing is, but I remember how it made me feel.
Yeah.
But it's funny when someone can present an idea, especially when people are like lit and having fun. Oh, after this we can go this place, and this place. Okay, that's cool. Well, how are we,
Yeah.
what's the setup? Oh, like they're going to give you, like because of who you are, they're going to give you a little discount. Okay, because of who I am, they're going to give me a discount.
So you're paying.
Yeah, so I'm paying. In those moments, it's just funny. You just got to create your boundary. But it's so fun. Like people be more excited to spend my money more than me.
Yeah. That is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever think about even making some investments with that money as well?
Yeah, investments into myself. I feel like my greatest investment was during quarantine. When we weren't allowed to go outside, I invested into my brand heavily.
Yeah.
And my presence online was just very impactful, and that led to me getting all these brand deals.
Yeah.
So I feel like the best investment I've made thus far has been myself.
Talk to me a little bit about now these days. Like you have a zillion different things going for you. Obviously, such a talented musician, but like you mentioned, you're also an influencer who does do branded partnerships. What are all of the different ways that you are making money these days?
I feel like one thing that I've prioritized this year is going outside of music. So like starting businesses that typically that I would have got a brand deal for, but now I'm trying to create like my own brand. And my ultimate goal is to have like my own brand ambassadors, or me cutting the checks from my influencers. Only because I've become so big in the brand space, it's like I need to have my own brand now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, I'm tired of doing brand deals. I want to give out the brand deals.
I'm really excited for the moment where I create my own business and I'm hiring these influencers and we're at my photo shoot and I'm creating the marketing plan and I'm figuring out how to like facilitate everything.
Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who was in your position, struggling, really wanting to be where you're at now?
Like someone who was me like a couple years ago?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like someone who is interested in, maybe the music industry, but also getting into acting, getting into social media. Like, how did you do it all?
I think the best advice I can give is having a strong support system. I think that's the most important, because after you're hustling, after you're working, after you're doing all these long days of work, it's important to have a community that you love and trust.
Yeah.
That's the best advice I can give, because no matter what's going on in your external life, whether it's positive or good, if you have like a safe space, I think that's what can keep someone in a good mental health state to keep going.
Yeah. And you are the queen of the pep talk. Like, I put your music on when I'm getting ready. I'm about to go give a speech or do something cool with my career and I need to get really excited.
Mm-hmm.
What is the pep talk you give yourself every day in the mirror?
Okay, so I have a friend. I have a friend in a different industry. And this friend is like really good at what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend told me that before they go on set or before they do anything, they tell themselves, like, I'm the best. I believe in myself. I can do this. It's a whole bunch of, like, affirmations.
Yeah.
But it's very intense. It's like you do that, you don't touch your phone, and then you hit the stage or you hit the set, and then you just lock in.
Wait. Why can't I touch my emotional support phone?
Your emotional support phone? What's that?
It's just like, like how all these days, like, all of us are just, like, addicted to our phones. I feel like I'm always holding that thing. Just, like, it's like it just provides me comfort.
Wait, I've never heard this before.
No, like just like, okay, so some people have like an emotional support animal. That's like where it initially came from. Mm-hmm. But then there was like a joke amongst the girlies that we all had like emotional support water bottles. Like you always had that water bottle on you because you never wanted to be thirsty. But I've taken it one step further now and I'm like, I have an emotional support phone that I'm like, if I don't have my phone, I'm like,
oh my gosh, you know what mine is then?
What?
Gum. My emotional support gum.
Your emotional support gum.
Yeah, that's my thing.
You have to have gum.
Yeah, that's my emotional support. Okay, well, you can have your emotional support phone, but just don't check it. Because what you're doing is you're getting into a zone and you're locking in before you have to handle whatever you have to handle.
Is that what you do before you go and perform live?
Sometimes. I have to get better at being consistent with it. But when I do it before a show, like it's generally a good show.
Yeah. I don't know if you are able to share this, but you mentioned wanting to like build businesses. Mm-hmm. Is this something that you are planning on doing on your own, or are you looking for someone to kind of come be the Emma Grede to your Skims?
Oh, wow, that's a good point. I definitely need a team. I don't think it's
Yeah.
something that I can do alone. But partnerships work the best for me, you know? And I'm not afraid to admit that. You know, some people can do it on their own. I'm the type of person where I need a partnership so that I can have some accountability, and that's the best way that I work.
Yeah. In terms of other investments in your life, talk to me. Stock market, like, you know, real estate. Is there anything else that you have your eye on?
I'm interested in real estate.
You are? Why? Talk to me.
Because if I were to do real estate, or when I do finally get into it, I'd like to create luxury, affordable homes for college students.
Okay, there's a little bit of an oxymoron here happening. Luxury, love. I love that.
Like something that's comfortable and something that's nice to at least look at.
Yeah.
Because think about it. You know how it is. You're a college girl. You're at school all day. You're going to work. When you come home, you want to feel like you're in a comfortable environment that you can just relax and love, like looking at, right?
Saweetie, I wish I could tell you my college apartment
was trash, right?
Was so trash. I lived on a street called Kenwood, and we called it the Kenwood Crack Den because the entire apartment was tilted. If you put a marble on the ground, it would roll to one side. We had a fifth roommate named Chester. It was a mouse. I can't even begin to explain to you how dastardly this apartment was.
So let me tell you something. When I was at State and at USC, we're paying at least $1,100 to $1,500 a month.
Yeah.
To split a tiny room. And it's like, why
That's
are we...
a lot.
Yeah, but why are we... Well, it's California.
Yeah.
But why are we... And that's why I had to take out all those loans, too. But it don't matter where you went. It could have been a nice place, an old place, but it's just like, why are the living conditions like this? Because of greed, because of capitalism. No, like kids need to come home. They need to decompress. They need to relax because it's just like our brain's already on 10 at campus. When I come home, I want to be in my safe haven. I want to actually like coming home, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's such a great part of the market that I feel like is so underaddressed.
Yeah, but that's my goal.
We had like an evil landlord.
An evil landlord?
Oh, I had multiple evil landlords throughout my life.
I've never had one. I never had one.
Probably because you didn't sign a long-term lease for
all
those years.
No, let me tell you something. One of my Craigslist roommates kicked me out.
Wait, what?
So, I had three roommates. So it was both of us. It was one girl in a room and then me in a room. And in the living room, it was a girl and her daughter. And they had sheets.
Yeah.
But it was right next to the kitchen. I'm a night owl. So like I would work out, come home, cook my ground turkey
and
my
ketchup.
Rice and ketchup. So eventually they were like, you need to change like your workout routine. And at first I was just like, why are you telling me this? Like, because like it's affecting our sleep, et cetera, et cetera. I'm like, okay, cool. So I didn't change my workout routine. But I thought if I came home and made a quick PB&J, that'd be better than me, than cooking on the stove, washing the dishes after. I can just pop some bread in the toaster, take it out, quick PB&J, I'm out. Unfortunately, that didn't work for them, so they petitioned for me to get out. And
then the other roommate agreed?
All of them agreed.
Well, why?
Because I was the new roommate in the community. So I had rented somebody else's room out. But it was 3 against 1. They were like, you come home too late. You're cooking in the kitchen too late. You got to go. But fortunately for me, it pushed me to find one of the best roommates I've ever had.
How are you finding these roommates?
Craigslist, girl.
Okay, but I'm scared of Craigslist.
Me too. That's why I had to say a little prayer.
But you found a good roommate.
I found a great roommate. And what's crazy is she would work all night and then sleep all day. So our schedules were flip-flop.
So it was like you lived by yourself. That's even better.
Yeah.
That's genius. Genius. So now that you are in a position where you've got a really successful music career, you've started acting as well, you've got this great, influencer business, you're building out your own businesses in the future, hopefully. What else is kind of on the roadmap of that foundation?
Reestablishing my media team.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Because there was a point in time where I was very ubiquitous online.
Yeah.
But then I took some time off to, focus on the music. And now that the music is ready to be rolled out, I spent countless hours in the studio. I need to like get a media team again because, you know, I'm finna pop out again. But this time I'd like it to be under like my own media company only because I produce so much content and a lot of that IP is mine anyways. So it's like I'd like to, you know, build something off of not the old content, but the new content that I'm gonna make.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're doing all the work. Mm-hmm. Might as well. Mm-hmm. Might as well own it.
Absolutely.
When you started making some of that bigger money, what was the best thing you spent your money on?
I'm paying my tithes.
Paying your what?
My tithes.
Oh, okay. So you mentioned like church a couple times. Mm-hmm. Like, do you still find that you're very spiritual, religious? Do you still go to church?
I've always been spiritual. Yeah. And when I can go to church, I do. But I love giving back to a community that's always praying for me. Yeah. My grandmother's always praying for me. Yeah. And they do like a lot of, like when I was donating a lot, they were able to put that to like a lot of good use. So I like that I'm able to like share my resources with people who need them and who actually use them for like a good purpose. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was there anything that you ever bought your parents?
My parents? The first thing that I did was buy my mom her favorite bag. Yeah.
What was it?
This Bottega green bag. I forgot what it is, but her favorite brand used to be or still is Bottega Veneta.
Why that over anything else? Do you know?
You know, I don't know, but she does like when she gets Chanel bags. So.
Yeah. I think she might just like all bags that come from you.
Yeah.
That's her daughter.
Yeah, but that's like the first thing that I bought my mom.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like there's anything that you currently have your eye on in terms of spending?
That's a good question. But honestly, I had pulled back from like spending frivolously. Yeah. I'm like, girl, you need to chill.
Post that call after that, you know, with your accountant. You were like, I need to chill.
Yeah, I need to chill. I feel like I've been in a more chill state. Yeah. There's nothing I really had my eye on. I've just been really focused on working and, you know, getting this music together. Yeah. Oh, that's a good question.
Well, okay, well, don't let me put the question in your head and then you have to go out and buy something.
No, absolutely not. But I think the next thing that I'd probably buy is some property.
Mm-hmm. Something that'll appreciate in the future, hopefully. Yeah. Gain value.
But also, I don't know where I want to buy this property because I'm kind of tired of LA.
Oh, you are?
I'm tired of LA. Yeah, I'm ready to, like, leave.
Oh, come on.
So it's like I don't want to buy a house here and then I leave.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think that's another reason why I've been kind of like postponing on like finding something out here that I have to commit to. Yeah.
That's a good piece of advice. I asked you earlier and I was like, how are you managing your money when you didn't have any? And you said, I didn't have any money to manage. Mm-hmm. What about now? How do you manage your money now?
Having a good business team. And
you rely on them?
I really appreciate them and I rely on them. They put everything out on spreadsheets. Mm-hmm. We talk about goals. We talk about my spending habits. Yeah. And I think that for someone who's always working, especially at my level, I think that it's great to have a business team that you can rely on and trust.
What is a money goal of yours? Like, is there a number?
A money goal is to have passive income in the millions.
Passive income in the millions. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Do you have a fuck you number?
Fuck you number?
Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, girl. Okay, so this is like the YourRichB BFF, like, fuck you number. Uh-huh. Basically, there will be a number out there that the passive income that comes off of those investment gains, if you have that number invested, you can kick over your desk and tell your boss, fuck you. So, for example, this is the calculation. You're a math girl, so you'll get this. You'll love this. So you think about your perfect year. Okay, you close your eyes, you fantasize. Okay, I'm fantasizing a jet for you right now.
Thank you.
But you think about your perfect year, and then you guesstimate roughly what that year would cost. Mm-hmm. So you have this number. You divide it by 0.04, and that represents a 4% return. So it's just a very, very conservative estimate. Then you will end up with a number. And that's the number that you would need to have invested, making money for you, that could then support your entire lifestyle without you having to do any more work. So, for example, if you have $25 million invested and it's earning you a conservative 4% return every year, that is $1 million in just investment returns that you can live off of.
So what is my fuck you number?
Yeah.
You know what? We can get to that. But even if I had a fuck you number, I wouldn't stop working.
Okay. What's the mindset behind that?
I just love to work. Like, my mind is always creating, like, different ideas. I think if I did have a fuck you number, it would just go into a year of pure creativity of, like, taking on projects I'd actually like to take on instead of me, you know, taking this job because they're paying really well. But I kind of don't want to do it, but, you know, I like it, so I am going to do it. But I love to work. Like, I don't know. It's crazy because on my days off, I'll need it, but then my mind is going crazy. My mind needs to be productive all the time.
Do you think you're ever going to retire?
I think what retirement looks for me is probably like pouring into someone else's career.
You want to be a manager, a momager?
Not a momager, but maybe like mentoring or guiding someone or doing something of that nature. But I can't picture myself just, you know, kicking back and relaxing. I could probably do that for like 2 days, but then I'm like, where to work at?
2 days?
Yeah.
That is not long enough.
It's not, but I don't. I really love to work, and I love when work doesn't feel like work.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Does your work right now feel like work?
Sometimes.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I think my fuck you number would lead to, like, instead of me taking time off, I would just purely enjoy all the work I'm doing.
You would only say yes to the stuff you really want to do.
Absolutely.
Okay, but still, give me the number.
Girl, I like.
Do you need a calculator to calculate this?
Girl, I don't. Girl, it'd have to be a big number because I don't want to. If I'm working, I want all the resources. I want to travel in comfort.
Yeah, of course.
I want to look fabulous when I'm working. I don't know. I'd have to think about that number.
Yeah, it's a big number.
It's
guys.
a big number though, because everything would just feel so. It would be like inconvenience for me. You know, very convenient for me. I mean.
Oh, like you're saying, like while you're working, you want everything to be very convenient.
Very
for you.
convenient, yeah. That's what I meant. Thank you.
I think that's really smart.
Yeah.
Because when it's convenient for you, you can do your best work. Right?
Absolutely.
And that's what we're looking for.
Absolutely. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's my fantasy and that's my goal. And I'm happy that that we're talking about this. Because when I have goals, like I said, like my deadline, then I'm actually more motivated to work. So thanks. I need to find my...
You know what? This is like money therapy because when you say it to me and millions of other people who are probably going to watch this,
right?
Now you're accountable. You've told us.
I told you, girl. But you helped me think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I like being around people like you.
Yeah.
Smart girls.
Smart girls. Smart girls hang out together.
I like
of course.
that. Well, you should make that merch.
Should I?
Yeah.
You are always thinking about business.
I told you.
Girl, I just said something. You're like, you should make a merch brand. Like,
because I would buy that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cute. Hot pink shirt, white writing. Straight to the point.
Smart girls hang together.
Or money green.
Money green.
Money green shirt, some cute writing. Make a baby tee. Ooh.
Baby tee, crop it.
Baby tee, crop it.
Yeah.
Cute. Sell them out.
When I make this t-shirt, you will be the first person on the PR list.
Send me the sample.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm not on the PR list. I want the sample.
You want the sample before we even go to print.
preview it.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So I just kind of want to wrap us up a little bit. As you are starting to think about the future, whether that be, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, what does your financially happy ever after look like?
Honestly, before I answer that, I think this has been one of the most difficult conversations for me.
Really?
No, I've really enjoyed it, but when you've made so much money and you haven't had money before, sometimes you're just so happy that you made money, so you don't really plan your money. You aren't eyeing your money. You just, for me, it's like, as long as I have enough to pay my bills, do this and do that, I'm good. But I am at a point in my life where I've made the wrong decisions with money. I've made the right decisions with money. I've hired the right people to manage my money. Now I'm thinking different. Yeah. So when you were asking me some of these questions, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I should be thinking about that. Yeah. Because I am having these types of conversations now. So I feel like my advice for people who come across a large sum of money, get those good people around you early. Because I didn't always have the best people around me, but now I do. Because it's important, especially if you're if you're working a lot, to have people who are thinking about your money when you're not.
Over the course of your lifetime, what do you think is like the biggest money mistake you've made?
Shopping too much.
Really? It's just the shopping?
It was the shopping, but it was like therapy for me.
Okay.
Because I would sometimes, oh my gosh, I wouldn't even wear somebody's clothes.
You would just buy them?
I would just buy them, but it was a toxic way of me nurturing, you know, my unhealed feelings about something. Yeah. So I was shopping too much. But that's why, like, now I barely shop. But now I like reward myself if I get something, you know?
What do you think is the difference between how people who have money think about it versus people who don't have it think about it?
For people who don't have it, I feel like they're thinking of it in a very singular way. Like, I have to get this amount of money to pay for this. Rather than when I've been around people with money, there's almost a lightness to the conversation. It's like, how can we play with this money? What can we do with this money? How can we move this money? How can we invest this money? Yeah. And if I spend this money on something, how is it gonna like make me money back? That's what I feel like the conversations are held at a more dynamic level. Yeah.
Scarcity versus abundance.
Come on. Yeah. Smart girls hang out together.
All right, guys, this is my merch manager. But, you know, before we get going, I do want to give you a chance. Like, you told me you spent hours in the studio. You got a lot of cool stuff coming up. Yeah. Talk your talk. What can we look forward to?
Great visuals, bomb music, better shows, tours. And honestly, like, there's a lot of goals that I have when it comes to my music, but when it comes down to it, my ultimate goal is just to be happy with the art that I put out. Like, not trying to appease anything, not trying to beat something, but just purely like doing art for why I did it in the first place. You know, because when you're like a younger artist or a new artist, you're just happy to be here. Yeah. But sometimes the game, like, you know, it moves you around and makes you feel this way. People do this to you. But I want to go back to just the purity of it all. Yeah. Like, that's my ultimate goal.
You want to love music like you did when you were 18?
I would say when I was like 14, 16.
14.
Yeah, because I started writing poetry around 13. And then I started writing raps around like 15, 16. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. But that innocence of it all.
You want to love the game, like the real.
I want to love the art because, you know, the game is to be played. I don't know if you love it. I think you play it, but I don't think you love it. Yeah, you got to be smart with the game. With art, you can just, you know, you can just love it.
Yeah. And I think that's a perfect way for us to end. Saweetie, thank you so much for chatting with me.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning into this week's episode of Networth and Chill, part of the Vox Media Podcast Network. If you liked the episode, make sure to leave a rating and review and subscribe so you never miss an episode. Got a burning financial question that you want covered in a future episode? Write to us via podcast@YourRichBFF.com. Follow Networth and Chill Pod on Instagram to stay up to date on all podcast-related news. And you can follow me at YourRichBFF for even more financial know-how. See you next week. Bye!